agents, back to back again. We're here. This time you'll see a familiar face, Dean, and we have our trio here finally, Sharran, Dean, and myself. Blessed to be here again. This time we're going to go into branding, and these guys are doing a brand summit, which I'll put the link up to. I already did, but I'll do it again. We'll email blast it to everybody so everybody has it. And that I'm excited about. Let's start with that really quick, Sharran, so I can share this into different Facebook groups, and then we'll get into this.
Yeah, totally. So just a quick high level on the brand summit, right?
Yep.
You know, one of the things Dean and I always talk about, Tristan. So first, thank you for having us on. We want to give as much value to everyone as possible because that's my main focus here. A few weeks ago, we were thinking about, all right, how do we add during this time where people are kind of like, when I come out of all of this, what asset can I have? Right. That's all we're like, when I come out of this and turn around and look around what happened in the last 90 days, like what do I have to show for these 90 days? Right. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of times people are like, I organized my database. I'm like, good for you. That created zero revenue, either now and forever. Like when someone tells me that they're going to organize a database right now, I want to punch them in the face. Right. Like, I mean that because this is not the time to organize your database. You think this is Christmas and you're snowed in. No, this is the time when everyone is frozen for you to create a massive movement in your brand, in your business, in your moment. Like whoever moves right now wins, right? Like that's a really powerful thing. And so Dean and I were talking about how do we create an asset that you can leverage for life coming out of these 90 days, right? And so, and we didn't want it to be like, okay, so let's not cause overwhelm. And Tristan, you have been super gracious. We've been on several different online summits. Many of us have spoken in many different places, added a lot of value the best way we can. And we thought, well, how do we keep it tight? How do we get, when someone thinks of their brand, what do they think of? And I think they think of, well, where do I start? What platform do I use? Like that's the first thing that happens. So we thought, well, why don't we demystify just that? So we're talking about, hey, can I build a brand on a Facebook group? Yes. We're talking to the man who has built a brand on a Facebook group from nothing. Like literally you had nothing. You and Nick in a crazy idea with 14 people, you had nothing, right? And you built this amazing empire. How do you build a brand on TikTok? How do you be a brand on LinkedIn? So we thought, hey, there's the 8 really cool platforms, if you will, or thought processes. Can we get 8 experts to just share that? Because then people can pick and choose. And so Dean and I just spun our networks, and you've been so gracious to say that you would come on and talk about that. So we got a Facebook group master, Instagram master, LinkedIn master, TikTok master. So it's just 8 master classes, 8 experts, brandsummit2020.com. And the best part is we have a cool membership site in the back end where we're sharing all of that stuff as opposed to just having somebody join a group. We wanted to make it a better experience overall. So we've gotten really great feedback from it across all industries now. So super grateful for you to be on, and Dean's hustling to put people in there to share some ideas. So 8 master classes, 8 platforms, all next week, brandsummit2020.com.
I love it. Guys, I'll put up the link too. And there was a comment by Lisa Broussard here, says, so now I know the good stuff really happens before you go live on Facebook. That's so
everybody listening?
Always.
My bad.
Always, guys. And Roland Estrada, by the way, has been, I think, Roland, you've been on every single webinar I've had today, which is like 6 of them. He says, man, this day's intense. Yeah, it is, buddy. Good job. Thanks for being on.
That's awesome.
Guys,
awesome.
I'm going to put up the link to start off so we can get that out of the way. I'll be putting it in throughout. Let me just grab it, and then we can get going in regards to brand. And I'll shift it out to you guys. What made you talk about brand today? What was the idea behind it? Was it just the same idea behind you creating the brand summit, or no?
Dean, I'll let you kick it off. I got a lot of stories around this stuff. So
yeah, so like I think a lot of times people are struggling to know what to do next and pivot in their business, right? And I think now is like a pivotal time in the world where you have an opportunity to grow your presence and grow your voice and grow your brand with literally the most eyes in the history of social media, period. And so I think too many people are worried about what pillar am I going to add when I come out of this? Am I going to go into foreclosures and REO and this, that, and the other? And for us, me and Sharran, it's like, no, build your brand, build your voice, build your audience, Build that, because we all know that the big teams out there who survived 2008 did very much just that. They put out as much marketing, as much, information on them, everything, to when they came out of it, everyone else left and you knew only a handful of names.
So true.
And that is the goal, right? And so now, I don't know how long we're going to be cooped up in a house, but I can tell you for certain, it doesn't matter what piece of content you put out, somebody's going to see it. Times 10.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at with the reason why we're going so deep. I mean, it's our entire business is building your personal brand, but now more than ever, over the next few weeks, everyone should be doing it.
Yeah, Tristan, I think you'll connect with this more than anything else because, I talk a lot about this stuff. So think about this, man. As people are watching, I think there's a much bigger, this has got nothing to do with money or fame or anything like that. Just if if we actually remember this time, if you rewind, say 10 years, not even that long, 10 years, right? And the only way to get exposure for our products or services 10 years ago was there was 3 ways, right? Essentially, you got on TV, you got on radio, and you got in print. That's all there was. Yep. Like conceptually speaking, yes, there was other things, but conceptually, you need to get on TV, you need to get on radio, and you need to get in print. And to do that, essentially, you called that a platform, right? Like if I got on, Jon Stewart, I got on Jon Stewart's platform to pitch my stuff. Mm-hmm. If I got on, 701.3 FM, I got on 701.3 FM's platform to pitch my stuff, right? Yeah, whatever, right? Yeah. But dude, like, the radio advertising is interesting, right? Like we talk about that. But the third is if you got on LA Times, like you got on the LA Times. What does LA Times have? They have distribution, right? So you got on their platform to pitch your stuff. What we used to do 10 years ago was we hitched our wagon into other people that had distribution. And that was a platform. So I always tell people, hey, if you have something to say or to sell, you have 2 options. You can just hitch yourself onto a distribution channel, or you can build your own. Like literally, that's all there is. And so what we're suggesting is, like 10 years ago, you and I, Tristan, couldn't go build our own TV station because there was but today we are on TV right now on Lab Coats TV.
Yep.
Literally. Right? Yeah. We are, Dean and I right now, because of our relationships, because of what we have done together, we are on your platform. And you know that we respect that more than anything else, right? We are on your platform. If people don't think about that, they're missing the point right here, right? So to me, a lot of it is, if you have something to say or to sell, how can you just say, hey, if I have to stand above the noise, I need a little platform. I just need a little platform. And right now, that platform I can create. It's my brand. I can create it. But people always my biggest thing that I want to tell people is this. People think that brand is content. And I want to the brand is not content. Just because you come up with great content all the time, it means nothing. We have no brand if we don't have an audience. Period. End of story. It just doesn't exist. Like Tristan, you and Dean and I could start a Facebook group tomorrow. We could post the greatest, most badass stuff. If we had 4 people total, 4 people know our brand. There's no distribution. So in today's world, that's why the platforms are so powerful, right? I want people to really think about this and say, it's not about the content. It is about how do I get an audience? How do I get distribution? And an audience that loves me, the audience that I can serve. It's not just pillaging your stuff and pimping your stuff out. It's more like, how can I get an audience that I can serve? You're not going out there and trying to get insurance brokers into Lab Coat. That's not your jam, right? You're saying my audience is to serve agents in the world and help them create amazing lives. So that's your brand, right? So to me, I'm always focused right now, like Dean and I always talk about this, and you'll hear us say this often, man, is our job is to get you on stage, right? Our job is to get you on stage, and your job is to perform.
Yeah. We actually just used that quote in the last webinar. I quoted you on this last one.
Dude, and let me tell you a perfect example of someone who does this beautifully. And I say this only because you should see our text messages back and forth with Dean, Tristan. I was like, dude, Tristan is crushing this game. Because what happened was, dude, you had, like, you were not a huge Instagrammer. Like, that was not your jam, right? It was not your jam. And then we worked together in a lot of ways to create like new audiences for you. We gave you a new stage. But you know what, dude? You showed up and you were like, your content literally is the best of all our clients. The best.
Damn.
That's the reason why we texted you that, because, you know, the vice versa. What's happened before is just like Sharran said, we're able to drive the followers and the audience, but we certainly have had clients who didn't want to post anything. And what good is that? There's zero engagement. Having followers means nothing if you don't do anything with it.
That's very true. Yeah, dude. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So can we talk really quick? When you're talking brand, can I get a definition of what you're saying brand is so that people can understand it a little clearer? Because I think people have so many different misconceptions of what it is, right? And maybe by saying what it isn't, like you did, it gives them more clarity. But what is it to you when I say, hey, let's work on our brand? What is that?
I'll tell you what it isn't, and I'll let Sharran take the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. And you may have heard me say this before. Your brand is not what you do for a living. Okay. So it's not about real estate. It's not about fitness. It's not about whatever it is that you do for a living. Your brand, to me, is and always will be your beliefs, the way that you speak to the world, the experiences that you have, that only you have. I think a lot of people get in their head about, well, what if I say the same shit as everybody else? Cool, right? That's okay that you feel that way. But I say this all the time. Sharran, myself, and Tristan could literally word for word say the exact same thing, and some people will absolutely hate me. And they'll love Sharran, and they'll love Tristan. All you're trying to do is to express the way that you speak, your beliefs, everything about you. That is your brand, right? And so that's my definition of it, Sharran.
Yeah, totally, right? So I think that, Tristan, I'll give you two things, right? One is the mindset around it, and one is the mechanics around it. So the mindset around it is, what do people say about you when you're not in the room?
There you go.
Right? If you can, and I believe in the most honest way that you can influence that conversation. And that what Dean and I are sharing is you can absolutely influence that conversation. And I want us to be able to do that. I want us to be able to say, I can manufacture celebrity. Right? I can manufacture celebrity. Never in the history of humankind could we manufacture celebrity. So if the mindset is, hey, what do people say about me when my name comes up and I'm not in the room? And that's the mindset. Like, what are the mechanics? The mechanics are, Tristan, super simple for me is, can I create a if blank, then Tristan Ahumada? If you're going to talk about blank, if you're going to talk about real estate in Malibu, you need to talk about Tristan Ahumada. If you're going to talk about, the social media advisor to everybody in the real estate world, it needs to be Tristan Ahumada. Like right now, you believe that, hey, Dean has done an amazing job over the last 18 months of saying, hey, if you want to talk about Instagram growth, you need to talk to Dean Aguilar. Like, it is super simple. So when Dean is not in the room and someone is talking about Instagram growth, Tristan, let's say you and I are having dinner and with 13 other people and someone talks about Instagram growth, what are you and I going to say? Dude, have you talked to Dean? That's all we're going to say. So there is a mindset component of what do people say when you're not in the room and where does that conversation go? Because if you can't construct and actually have your brand organically come up in conversation, there is no quote conversion that's going to happen, right? That's number one. But the number two part is we have to stop and think, okay, what do I want my if blank then Sharran to sound like? What do I want that if blank, right? And I actually think the faster you can get to that, the better it is for everybody, right? Like if you think of Los Angeles real estate, think of Sharran. No, like that will not work. Like that's that is super broad, and that you can never make that be a organic brand. But if I said, hey, if you're going to sell condos in Playa del Rey, then there's only one person to talk to, like that makes sense. Like that's super specific. And now you become you can become that person because you can actually own the if this or if blank then me. Dude, how powerful is it? Like I talk to a lot of agents. I say, how powerful is it in 6 months if you wake up and you were suddenly given a farm? Like they just handed you a farm. Right? Like I actually believe in today's world, Tristan, and I know you. So I went back and I counted this, right? And from a brand perspective. So in the last 8 weeks, outside of the agents that we know that are part of our ecosystems, et cetera, I've gotten one agent marketing email. One. Okay? One. In the last 8 weeks, right? Number two, I've gotten 0 postcards in the mail. 0. Right? And number three, like I have no ads in my feed. So I was taking one of our Kings Lane clients who actually works my farm where I live. I was like, dude, you understand that you're the number 3 agent in this marketplace by volume. Do you know that you've been trying to get in this marketplace for the last 3 years? You have, in the next 90 days, you can do what you can do in the next 10 years. Because there is literally, the freeways are empty. Whatever you do, only you are going to, in the next 90 days, it's not fortunes are built. In the next 90 days, you can build a 10-year empire in the next 90 days with the if blank, then Dean. Like if you just create that, right? I mean, this is the most unprecedented. And the funny part, Tristan, is you don't even need any ad spend. It's like you can do $5 a day on Facebook and win. Like it's insane. Our CPM numbers are insane right now, right? It's insane because, dude, can you imagine not one postcard in 8 weeks, not one email in 8 weeks, and like no ads in the feed. Now, if you had the brand, how easy would that be? Right? So what we're saying is you can just manufacture celebrity overnight right now. That was never possible. So always think I actually think when in our Brand Academy coaching program, our goal is to say, can we come up with your if blank then me? If we just come up with that, now you're like, should I invest in this or should I not? Should I do this or should I not? Like you can make filtering decisions a lot easier. So to me, it's all about like, how do I build the if blank then me? And that really goes to the heart of what I want to do.
I love that, dude. That's a very good response. I think the thing that stood out was, what do people say about you when you're not in the room?
Yeah.
Right. That's really your brand, right? And if you want to change that up, maybe you're being a total dick and you shouldn't be, right?
Totally. Well, think about it this. Yeah. Well, even this, right? If you think about really good brands that people have built over time, I would call them out to a average conversation on Lab Coat Agents, right? People are having a random conversation, and then Tristan, you come in and you're like, you just say, tag Sharran. Hey, Sharran, you're like the perfect person to answer this question. Because there's a 93% thread on listing presentations, and like,
all right, we got booted there, but let's jump back on. All right, we're getting Sharran and Dean right back on. I think one of our team members booted us by accident. Let me let them know. You booted us. That was fun, right?
That was excellent.
Back on. That's one way to make Sharran stop talking. Right? Where's Sharran?
Holy shit, that's awesome.
That's me saying, hey, dude, enough. No, I'm joking. It just cut us off. That was the weirdest thing. Anyway, gonna play it right back into Facebook. We had a good audience on Facebook too, man. So let's play it right back. Well, dude, I have a question for you because we have most of our audience here on the webinar.
Sure.
When it comes down to the branding of what he was talking about, what are some of the things that you guys are working on right now specifically with agents saying, look, these are the things you need to be working on in regards to your brand? What are those things that are going to take you to that next level?
So I think a lot of times it's, to be honest with you, it's deprogramming agents, right? Because we're very one-dimensional in our thinking. And what I mean by that, and everybody knows this, right? Because a lot of us have agents that are on our feeds and our friends. It's spam city. Like all they want to post is look at me, look at me, look at me. Coming soon, coming soon. I sold X amount of homes. Mm-hmm. And one of our biggest, things that we do with like the Brand Academy stuff is we teach people to essentially be a little bit more vulnerable. Like they have to know, like, and trust you in order to work with you. And when you're developing your brand, I need to know a little bit about Sharran. I need to know some of his other interests and stuff like that. I need to know that so that way I can then look at all the other things that, like me as a content poster would really want you to look at. But I have to be able to give up a little vulnerability to have the buy-in from the audience. What's interesting is every single one of our clients, and we've got a lot. I think at this point we have like over 62 clients, right?
Wow.
And yeah, a lot. And so they're constantly growing their accounts, but every time we look at their feed and we audit their feed, and you guys will know this because I challenge every single person on this call to go through and look at your feed. And if you have a mixture of like, real estate and then your personal stuff will outperform any real estate picture, period.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's true.
Yeah. And so what's interesting is if we can get, us as agents to understand that if they like you, they will work with you, then post a little bit about your life and your experiences. And then subsequently what will happen is every single post after that will benefit from the engagement of that personal post.
All right, cool. And Sharran, so what I asked Dean is, I said, so what are some of the things that you're working with your agents right now that will help them take advantage of the situation in a good way, obviously?
Yeah,
right?
totally. So I'll give you guys two. So if you're, as you're an agent watching this, right? Like I honestly, whatever you're doing, watching this in the background, like stop, please pay attention. This is you only have to listen to the next 3 minutes. Just please pay attention right now.
Wait, Sharran, is that because you're going to take 3 minutes and like forget everybody? I'm joking with you.
Yeah. So here's the interesting part. There's two things I want to share. And I believe that if we install these two things into our business, we can do amazing things. So the first thing I want to share is enter the conversation in the prospect's mind. Like what we have been taught to do by the gurus of the world is, hey, show people how great you are, therefore they will choose you because of that. Mm-hmm. Hey, I am number one. I'm number one in my marketplace. We have succeeded where they have failed. Like, are you serious? Like, are you freaking serious? Like, it's the craziest thing. The reason is when I look at, here's the funniest part, right? About 2.5 years ago when we were at TELUS, one of the TELUS agents sent a postcard to my house, and it was a traditional, I have a buyer postcard, right? Mm-hmm. And my wife grabs the I have a buyer postcard and she hands it to me and she's like, what is this? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't understand. And I said, what do you mean you don't understand? She's like, I don't understand what I have a buyer means. And I said, well, the agent is trying to say that my client wants to buy your home. She's like, say that. She goes, what is I have a buyer? Like, that makes no sense to anybody. Like, did you know that the number one term done in a survey of 80,000 home consumers, number one term that nobody understood was lender. Nobody knows the word lender. We use it all the time, but nobody has any idea what that means, right? So when I say enter the conversation in the prospect's mind, I don't wake up in the morning thinking, oh, am I curious about the value of my home? Like, I don't wake up curious about the value of my home. Like, that's ridiculous, right? That I don't wake up thinking that. So what is the conversation that is happening in my mind right now? So for example, the sleazy marketing that people do, and whether it's good or bad or et cetera, you know what I call it, Dean? I don't call it bad marketing or sleazy marketing. I call it what Frank Kern calls it, RBM, relatively bad marketing, meaning it can do better. RBM, right? So what I mean by that is, when you enter the conversation in the prospect's minds, right now people are like, oh, post this thing that says, would you like my COVID listing plan? Click here for details. Well, let me break it down for you. There are two kinds of people in the world right now. They either care about they want to sell their home, or they don't want to sell their home. The people that don't want to sell their home don't care about do you want my COVID listing plan? And the people that want to sell their home right now are so afraid, are so fearful, have so many questions that they can't look past the sleaziness of do you want my COVID listing plan? So the conversation in their mind is not, does someone have a COVID listing plan for me? That's not the conversation. The conversation in their mind is, oh my gosh, like, is someone going to buy my home in this crisis? That is a good headline. Now I'm like, oh, I'm waking up in the morning thinking, can my agent sell my home without open houses? That is what I'm thinking right now, right? What like so you know what I want to think, hey, if someone walks through my home, will I get the virus? That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm not thinking who's the number one agent in Laguna Beach. That's not what I'm thinking. So the number one thing I would say is enter the conversation in the prospect's mind. A lot of times I would just, especially in virtual listing appointments that a lot of people are doing right now, it is not about pitching at all. You're showing up and saying, okay, what are Tristan and Janice thinking right now? What are they fearful of right now? What questions do they have right now? Can I put myself in their shoes right now? And whatever words come out, can I use their same words in my marketing and my messaging to them? Because when you can say, enter the conversation in the prospect's mind, when you use the same language, you're talking to your market really, really well. So that's the first thing I will say, like today, right? The second thing, Tristan, is people will ask me, hey, so, you know, I want to stay in touch with my past clients in my sphere. What would I do right now? I'm like, dude, are you kidding? You want a script? Like, are you serious? Funny. Like, are you serious? So the interesting part is this. The second thing when you're dealing with cold prospects right now is there's this concept of saying, results in advance. How do I deliver results in advance? We think that, hey, hire Sharran. Sharran is an amazing agent. Sharran's going to do a great job for you. Hopefully, Sharran will, you know, deliver on all the promises, and then he'll sell your home. And then if everything goes well, then you can refer me, pay me, whatever. But nobody does that. They don't hire us based on what we are going to do. They hire us on what we have already done, what we already feel. So the interesting part is I always tell people when they say, well, what do I send prospects? I'm like, dude, what you send prospects is what you send clients. And what you send clients is, imagine Tristan and Janice just bought a home from, like, you just sold them a home right now. What would be your communication with them for the next 6 months? Would you share with them about their home values? Would you share with them about how you can do an audit for them? Would you share with them if they actually want to renovate, what you're going to do with them? Like, how do you actually deal and communicate with your exact clients? That is the result that your potential clients want. So number one, enter the conversation in the prospect's mind. Number two, just deliver results in advance. People don't hire you for giving away stuff. People hire you because they're like, hey, if Tristan is giving me all this information, like he knows his stuff, I'm much safer hiring somebody that knows all their stuff. And that's what I want people to know right now is just think about delivering results in advance. Like whatever they want. Don't try to convince them to sell, but just say, hey, this is not about, I always say it's not about objections, it's about options. Right now, people are like, well, should I sell right now? I'm like, it is not our job to convince somebody to sell right now. It is our job to lay out the options associated with whether they should sell now or sell 90 days or sell next year. And now they choose which path they want, and then we execute on that path. Because if like, I literally am working with an agent right now that convinced a client that they should list their home on the market 6 weeks ago. Convinced the client against their wishes via email. Convinced their client. The home went on the market. The buyer bought, like it was under contract. Buyer backed out of because of COVID. Now the seller is in deep financial distress because they made all these decisions and bought another home, suing the agent because the agent convinced them to sell their home. Whether that's good, bad, or ugly, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, everyone will argue with me on this. What I am saying is, it is not, dude, like on an average listing appointment, our job was to sell them on us and then go sell the property, right? That was the average job for us. Now, people think it is our job to sell them on selling, then sell them on us, and then go sell the property. That's crazy right now, right? So I always say, hey, listen, lead with options, not objections. And then once they pick an option, build a plan around the options. That way you deliver results in advance. Results in advance is the greatest thing that we can give our clients because they don't know what it is like to work with us. We are making promises after promises of, hey, when you work with me, I will do this. But nobody wants the promise. They want the proof right now.
That's true. Well, I think what you said there is we're shifting into really going to where people are emotionally, right? Where people are in their minds. And I think once people feel a certain way about you, that's what helps them decide whether or not they're going to use you.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. So, dude, I'll give you a funny story, right? I think you'll appreciate this. I've been thinking a lot about this. So on an average day, in an average world, like Dean and I talk about this all the time, in an average time, assume there's something called the BS capacity, the capacity for BS. And what I mean by that is, let's assume that the world has a 10 unit capacity for BS, meaning if I am at a level 10, if I get haters, if I get terrible marketing messages, a lot of cold callers, etc., my capacity for BS is there, so I can take it. I can take it. I don't get irritated. I don't lose my cool. I don't hate on you, etc., right?
Okay.
That's in the average world. In today's world, everyone has a ton of little paper cuts. Meaning, hey, my cousin lost their job. I don't know how much cash flow I have. I don't know if this is selling. My stock market portfolio is down. My grandma is ill. So they got a ton of little paper cuts. Because of that, their capacity for BS is not a 10, is a 2, right? So they get irritable a lot easier. That's why in my posts right now, I get a lot of haters. Not because I'm doing anything different. It's just people just have a lower capacity for anything that, so anything that's coming at them. So even if we're even a tiny bit polarizing right now, it's going to crush what we're doing. Now, that's why I believe that the person that gets hired right now is the kind person. It's not the number one marketplace. It's not the person that comes first. It's not the person that comes endorsed. The kind person is the person that wins, because what they can do is they can lift the capacity for BS. They just bring a lot of warmth to the table. And the capacity for BS, dude, from consumer confidence is what? Your capacity for BS is much higher. That's all it is.
Yep.
That's all it is. You're like, the world's fine. I get to hug my children. Everything's good. Therefore, you can't really bother me with your crappy messages, right?
Yeah.
But when you keep, with a lot of the pain right now, there's just not a lot of capacity for BS. And that's why, dude, why do you think, Dean always tells me this, why do you think people want to hang out with Tristan? And I'm not saying this to blow smoke up your ass. I'm just saying, like, you have a gift, dude. Your gift is like, you're naturally warm and calming to anybody. That you have a gift, and you know that, and you own that, and that's your brand. And and like, I love just hitting play on your webinars, and I'll just watch and I just feel better. Like, it's just Tristan talks. I just feel better.
Soothing.
So funny, guys. Yeah, but look, it took a long time to get there. To be fair to everybody else listening in, I had to realize that everybody telling me, dude, you're too nice. You're not going to get anywhere. You should be more aggressive. You should. And then I tried all of that, and I'm like, I felt so not me, and it didn't go well. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be kind. And who cares? If you don't want to work me, you don't.
Yeah. Dude, and that's why, like, Dean will always tell me, he's like, don't slow down your game. Like, you know me, you've known me 10 plus years now. Like, I'm like this all the time. Like, I don't care if you, like, I bring it all the time, because this is what fires me up, and I'm like this all the time. And like, my team calls it the Sharran rant. Like, Sharran's going to go on a rant right now, right? But that's just how I'm wired, right? And it's okay, because if you like me, you like me, because I'm like this all the time. Yeah. And I think that, watching the capacity for BS is really important, because it allows us to know how we position messages into the marketplace.
Well, what a beautiful time to actually reinvent yourself with this brand, right? Because in reality of just everything out there, people will connect with you when you're your true self, right? And everybody who doesn't, fuck it, who cares? That's not who you were targeting, right?
That's it.
So that's the beautiful part about this opportunity. It's that a lot of us are going to come out of this and realize who we are in a deeper sense, and it's going to show in our brand, right? Yeah. Because like you said at the very beginning, this is like part 2, because we've got cut off in the middle. Yeah. Part 1, you said, I wrote it down here. What do people say about you when you're not in the room, right? That's your brand.
Yep.
And that's really what we need to come out of this and say, who are we really at the core? And that's going to be what we promote.
And you have to be comfortable with it. You have to be comfortable with it. You know what, is you're dead on with that, because, I talk about it all the time. Sharran and I are 100% polar opposites when it comes to our personality. I say, I make a joke. I was like, I butcher the English language because I use slang so much. I cuss so much, but like, I know that that's me. I know that that's my brand, and I'm not really, really scared to, just like Sharran is 100 miles per hour. And by the way, he's at that at 11:30 at night. I'm like, how the fuck are you still moving? Like, I don't even know. Like,
on that really quick, and then you can go back, Dean, only because
that's all I have to say, but that's it.
So I was talking to Jason Abrams. Jason Abrams is the vice president of Keller Williams. And he was mentioning that one time he had this issue where he went to the doctors, and the doctors put him on a heart monitor and everything. It's like, hey, you just had a heart attack a little bit ago. And he's like, what? And so he went ahead and said, okay, I had a heart attack, did all these tests. Months later, when they do a really deep test on him, they realize that his heartbeat was faster than the normal human being. And what happened because of that is he's really energetic. He talks fast. He goes to smile a minute, right? And I'm like, when he told me that story, I was like, wait a second. The heartbeat really determines how fast we move, how fast we talk. I'm like, I never even put those two things together. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like, am I like chill genetically because maybe I have a lower heartbeat? And so I went to go check. It's like my heartbeat is lower than normal human beings. I'm like, okay, well, this all makes sense.
Well, basically, you just said that Sharran's got 3 months to live.
No. It's just
all I got, bro. That's all I got.
I'm just joking. I get it.
We're genetically different, and I think we have to embrace that because that's Sharran's power, right?
For sure.
That and we all just have to embrace who we are, and that's part of the brand.
Yeah. You know, so if you're an agent at this time, I like, as Tristan said, I have 3 really tactical pieces of advice for you to sum it up, right? Number 1, you've got to like take just 5-10 minutes, just sit down while you're watching Game of Thrones or whatever, and just say like, what is my kind of farm, my client, like, what are they thinking right now? Don't Google what our clients thinking right now. No, like what your clients are thinking of in Malibu is not the same as what your clients are thinking of in Chula Vista. Like, they're very different. Yeah. Right. And so so what are your clients thinking right now? And say, what are they afraid of? Just you have to get in their head, because people ask me for tactics. It's got nothing to do with tactics. Tristan and I write emails almost every single day, and I don't come up with emails based on any tactics. I just know my audience really well. I know what's going on in their head, so I'm able to talk to them. That's why our open rates are sky high, right? Because we talk to them. So number 1, internalization of the prospect's mind. And whatever questions you think they're asking, that is the question you should be answering. Like, super simple, right? And an easy way to do this, I always tell Dean this too, is look in your email right now and look at the last 6 weeks of communication and look at any questions that your clients have asked you. Anything. And then just literally you're doing a video and you're putting your phone up and saying, hey, today's question comes from Tristan and Janice in Malibu. They ask, hey, what happens for homes that are already under contract right now? Hey, this is an interesting question. Let me answer that. There are 3 parts to this. And you just take the question and you answer the question. You don't have to create any content. Look at the question that's in your email and answer the questions on video. Because that's very representative of what your clients are asking anyway, right? Super, super simple from a content creation perspective. So enter the conversation, the prospect's mind. Number 2, deliver results in advance. Whatever you would be delivering to a client, like, deliver to them for free right now, because they're going to hire you and pay you anyway. So just deliver everything for free anyway. And the third is, is the cadence is super important right now. And so if someone is thinking, oh, I will wait till Friday to make a great video and then post it on Saturday, and I'm like, you are crazy. Like, you need to turn on. It is daily. You have a 90-day window to do things daily. Daily. Like, what you do daily becomes your brand right now. So if you can, whatever you can commit to and you can do daily, you win so big right now.
That's so true, man. Mm-hmm. That is exactly it. Spencer wants to know where he can find you guys online. This is amazing content. Guys, oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right, Spencer. I apologize for Tristan. No, I'm just joking. Brand Academy, probably, actually the Brand Summit will probably be the first step.
Let me put the link up there, guys. This way, I put it up on Facebook. So it's definitely up there. Let me put it up here on the webinar.
Yeah, I just popped it in the webinar. And Spencer, Dean and I spend a lot of time on Instagram. We're like this all the time. And so just join us on Instagram, DM, like we do a lot on DM. So just direct message us if we can be helpful to you in any way.
Perfect. And Lisa says the same thing. Good job, guys. Good job. So, well, let's go a little deeper, man. We've got a few minutes here. So. Yeah. Let's go a little deeper on branding. What else would you guys recommend? If it's a single agent, let's go with single agent. Single agent trying to see what they can do right now. That Debbie says Tom Ferry and Tony Robbins have nothing on this guy.
Dean, good job, Dean.
No. like I said, I give the hood version, and Sharran
The
eloquently
hood version.
as he eloquently puts all my ideas to the group.
I know what he does. I know what he does. He listens to Dean and he goes, Dean, what you really mean.
How can I make this smart? Here's what Dean means. Here's what Dean means.
So Tristan, you make us really good. Do you know why people always, I think that over the last, 15, 20 years, there's become a massive evolution in how we can help support agents, right? And the massive evolution, why are people like the Dean Aguilars of the world and the Tristan Almadas of the world, why are they able to cut through the BS and add so much value? And I believe that, and no push or pain on anyone else. I just believe that as practitioners, we just have a feeling and a sensibility that just people that have not been in those shoes don't have. So for example, like today I did a webinar for 1,000 people on virtual listing presentations. And Tristan, I'll send you the link if we want to share it with everybody, et cetera. Right? And so the interesting part is, if you have like the coaches and the mentors and the talking heads in the industry, like they literally have not talked, they've not done one. And I'm not saying you don't know how to do one. I'm just saying when you sit there and the client gives you an objection, and when you sit there and the client asks you a tough question, like you've never felt it. And sure, you may have the gift of the gab of delivering that. That's not the answer. Let me tell you where the pain is, Tristan. The pain is when suddenly your next 90 days of income has been wiped.
Yeah.
And you know right now that you have to deliver this with eloquence, with warmth, with kindness, and be sharp and not sound like a canned script. And when you know that, that pressure hurts. That pressure is tough. That pressure is hard. And I was on a virtual listing appointment yesterday for a $17 million listing in New York with 2 agents, right? And it was an expired appointment, so that was even harder because now we had to convince them to relist. And like I'm sitting there and I know these 2 agents, one of them is going to lose their house if they don't get this deal. And like, I feel that in my gut. And the reason why, like, when Dean is sharing scripts, or when Tristan, and you're putting like a follow-up campaign together, the reason your stuff is so good, and like right now, especially a practitioner's view is so important. If you've never talked to a client, like I think it's just, I'm not saying you can't coach somebody if you've never talked to a client. I just think right now in today's world, it's just really difficult to have the sensibility. It's just super difficult. Right. And that's why the practitioner's perspective, that's why Dean and I are not just be like, oh, you should go do stuff on Instagram. No, like I know everything, like everything. Like I know all my stats. I know when to share. I know when to post. Like I know everything. And it's not that if I don't have that, I can't help people. Right. I know which button to click when, like I know when, right? So if a practitioner's perspective is really simple. So my suggestion to, a lot of these great people watching, Debbie, thank you for the comment, is that just audit who you're listening to right now. You should super audit who you're listening to right now. Yeah, and just because they've had mind share for you in the last many years, they probably need to earn it back. That's all I'm saying.
I love that, man. That's exactly it. I've been saying that for years. Well, you and I message back and forth and we're like, oh my gosh, some people.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The difference is that exactly what Sharran is saying. We're out there actually practicing this stuff. It makes a big difference when we're out there. I have running a team, right? Dean's running a team. We're still selling real estate. Sharran has done hundreds and I don't know how many, but thousands of presentations. Dude, how many listing presentations have you done?
So tracked 284.
284 listing presentations, right? So that makes a massive difference when your butt's on the line and you actually have to perform versus not really being in the actual business, right? So it makes the most important difference. And so that goes along with brand, right? What are we trying to recreate during this time?
Yeah.
I've been telling my team the same message, Sharran, and that's, we have an opportunity right now to just break away from the old us.
Yes.
That's absolutely it.
After this, I want us to be like phoenixes, right? Yeah. Just, we've been burned down, we've been broken down, but something's going to come better. What is that? It's up to you.
Yeah. Dude, I actually think though, I think you're so spot on, because I think that, I just want to challenge people. I think that you can actually like lean forward just into it like a 90-day period. Just lean forward 90 days to, I don't know, August 1 or whatever it may be, and just stop and say, okay, it's August 1 right now. I want to look back and like, what is true today? What do I want to be true today?
Mm-hmm.
And when you say, I want to have this skill, I want to have this platform, I want to have this brand, I want to have this many followers, I want to have this email, like what is true today? And then our job just becomes to maniacally go and create that. What the problem is, I think a lot of times agents like right now are frozen, and then they'll wait till August 1 and they'll turn around and they'll feel regretful. And then they'll say, well, it was COVID. Well, I appreciate that. I understand that, but you can actually create it, and you don't even have to move that fast because there is no noise. There's no clutter. Like I was telling this guy, Patrick, who needs to sell in our neighborhood. I'm like, you don't need to mail more than the other agent. The other agent's not mailing.
It's so true, dude.
There is no noise.
Very true.
Right?
It's minimal. Think of the freeways. They're empty. You just have to drive and you'll get there fast.
Right, exactly. Drive on the slow lane, for all I care, right? Like drive on the slow lane. Dude, I was doing this listing presentation workshop this morning, and of all, like the one person's like, well, I understand it's virtual, but like, what if it's, what if this person's 82? And then the entire group was like, hey man, like he's helping us. Don't come up with your random one person, like up your skill, figure out how you're going to deal with this person, right? And so it's just like everybody, it's just, how can I throw out a objection for you and for me so that I don't have to listen to you right now. Mm-hmm. And so I gave dude, I got to call out our main man, Sunit Agarwal here, right? So I was on a call with him. And if you are an agent right now, so please pay attention and cause I think you'll really appreciate this, and I'll post this video in Lab Coats. So I was on the call with him and he's like, bro, I have like 39 or 57 listings but my showings are down. And I said, awesome. Here's what you do. Take your app, take your phone, go to your Zillow app, because he's Zillow, he has this Zillow offers like Dean in Sacramento. I said, go to your app, go to the Zillow app and turn on record, like screen recording with your voice, right? And then just talk. I said, hey, my name is Sunit Agarwal. I sell real estate right here. That's my profile. Haha, do you like my mug? We have 54 active listings in the marketplace. You don't even have to be on camera. Go to one listing, pick the listing, and just go through the pictures on Zillow and show them how they can contact you, all on Zillow, right? Just show the whole thing to them, and then just stop and post on Facebook. And I said, do the same thing every day for a new listing. Every day is a different listing. And I just said, tag your client. Dude, can you imagine in 52 days, you've showcased 52 listings? Do you know what that does for recruiting? Like, everyone is like, I don't have listings, but Sunit has 52. And every day it takes 1 minute. You don't even have to put your face on it. But the cool part there is, dude, I told him that on a webinar and he had it executed 2 minutes when the webinar was over.
Yep.
That's the difference.
But that's amazing. Like he did it better than I suggested. Like that's amazing, right? He took the idea and he did it. And he's like, now you should see his feed, dude. It's just like, this is awesome, bro. Like that's amazing. But it's so easy. So if you have something active or if you have something pending, you have something coming soon, anything right now, you don't even like go redneck on this. Put it up on your screen. Take a photo of your screen, like just essentially do a video of your screen and just talk to your camera. You don't even need to be in this video. You just need to show up every single day talking about real estate so you can enter the conversation in people's minds. Like just every single day.
I see his video. I see it. I just went on Facebook to see it.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And it's super easy. And dude, he executed exactly like I shared with him. And it's a 1 minute video.
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, and what people don't realize is that, well, should I market my listings right now? Let me tell you guys something, right? If you guys have an active listing right now, that means your client, 1, wants to sell, 2, believes that they can sell, 3, they have entrusted the responsibility for you to sell it in this market. You have an insane responsibility right now, whether you like it or not, to market the active listings because your clients have kept it active with you. Mm-hmm. It is ridiculous. If you believe that you shouldn't be marketing listings right now, don't take the listing. You can't have a client give you a listing and you not market it. That's unfair to you and the client. That's not fair at all.
Exactly.
So I'm just like, I'm right now where what can I do every single day to enter the conversation in the prospect's mind? Every single day.
Dude, you and I had a similar conversation then, because I was talking to our offices and I was saying, hey, look, what you guys need to do is showcase kind of like the MLS. And so this is exactly what came on the market today, guys. Yeah. Right? So take a look at it and then go through like your top two favorite homes. And it's the same thing. Just show it to them, because a lot of people don't believe that we're still in business.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah. And if you are also I'll tell you guys this, when you confuse, you lose, right? Like when you confuse, you lose. And what I mean by that is, the next time I see an agent that stands in front of a whiteboard and talks about 97 different market stats, like, I will throw a banana at them. My name is Sharran Srivatsaa, and I serve real estate right here in Laguna Beach. And let me tell you about the MSI. Oh, Goldman Sachs says this, and these people say that, and we're not in a recession. Like, nobody cares about your analysis of anything, because you don't. That's not your job. That's not your job. What your job is right now is to be a weatherman. Report the facts.
That's it.
And then build a plan on what's coming next. Very simple, right? So if you don't have to say our listing inventory is down, you can say, hey, right here in Laguna Beach, you may be surprised that we have 97 new listings that came on the market in the last 3 weeks. 97, that means 97 homeowners believe in the confidence of our marketplace to list their homes for sale for two reasons. One, living here is an amazing place to live. And number two, there's still organic buyer demand, which we have access to. If you're considering selling your home either today or even in the next 3 to 6 months, just message me the word home below, and I'd be happy to get on and chat with you about the options that we have in today's market.
Dude, I love that. Hey, Sharran,
you might as well just drop your mic now for everybody on the call.
Can you come back next week?
He's gonna have go with all
Guys,
his agents to listing appointments.
Let's do that next. Let's do something like that. Well, you guys have the brand summit next week, so let's do the week after that. We can go like just sit down and mastermind live.
Yeah, dude, like, everybody should just take their phones and be like, okay, go ahead and do the script right now and post it. And don't post now, hey, what home feature, would you not like after COVID? Like, are you serious? Yes, you got a lot of engagement, but what are you going to do with that engagement right now? Everybody's posting that. Like, stay a little different, please. Like, a little bit.
Agreed, man. Agreed. Well, guys, thanks for being on. For those of you watching, Brand Summit 2020 starts next week. What day, guys?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Awesome. And then we're going to send out a blast to our whole database for that too today, and then again on the weekend. So thanks for being on, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tristan.
Thanks, guys. Yep.